Hello, I'm here to tell you how I made this album, which is out now. It was all recorded pretty much in this room, in my house in Cornwall, and I recorded it with Ben Jackson, who is a producer and happens to be my husband.
Reveal the microphone.
I finished writing it in April 2020, and we started recording it soon after that.
Save me from the dark and steady, hid under your pillow.
The Man I Admire is a kind of short, simple song that was written in one sitting, and I just really wanted to keep it as clean as possible, I guess, on recording, and just wanted to add a little bit of harmony and a little bit of guitar doubling, and a kind of lead line that was as bare as possible, so it ended up just being dings. I guess it's about ignoring your problems, and that not being very good for you. And I think especially through 2020, it felt like all the problems were at the doorstep, and I was kind of tired of ignoring them, and I didn't want to be the kind of person that did, but I felt like I still was, so that's what inspired that song. The music video for that we filmed after we'd shot the album cover, and it was really late at night and we were all very tired, and we had loads of like packing up and sterilising to do with the whole place that we'd rented. It's kind of simple, but I think it's beautiful, so I'm really happy with it.
Sleep instead, and you nodded till you nodded off. And I just came back in bed and I covered up my yellow head and said, let's pretend we're asleep instead, and you nodded till you nodded off.
So Heaven is the, I feel like in some ways the kind of biggest, most euphoric track on the album, which is sort of strange because it deals with quite serious subject matter. I wrote it here in this house downstairs, and it was kind of about my mum, who was going through some stuff. She had some health things to deal with the year before, and kind of about spending time in hospital and watching someone go under anaesthetic and that sort of thing, and wondering, just feeling really far away from them even though you're sitting next to them. And it's also about the kind of times when you're spending a lot of time with someone and you feel quite far away from them for whatever reason. It sort of reflects what I was trying to project, I guess, to people who are in those situations, and talking to myself, I guess, and friends who are going through things. It was one of the funnest ones to record. It features a wonderful harmonica throughout, pretty much. We also borrowed a mandolin for this song. We borrowed it from a friend in the village who's called Winter Mountain. Never having played it before, we ended up sharing the duty. This is one occasion where we actually shared playing an instrument, and Ben held down the chords and I strummed. So that's how we got the mandolin down for it. Yeah, it's sort of a song about hope, and about keeping going even when times are hard, and that I can't really explain why it's worth it to keep going, but it's worth it. The video for Heaven was one of the most beautiful ones that we got to make, because it basically just involved roaming around the Cornwall countryside in different kinds of weather. I'm wearing this enormous white dress, which is really fun to wear, especially because it was so windy, but it was freezing. It was absolutely freezing, and we were like climbing up massive hills and running around on the beach, and the wind's whipping all around. But yeah, obviously the scenery around here is beautiful, so it was a pleasure. Fine and Peachy. This is one of the funnest ones, and probably one of the most upbeat sounding songs I have ever released. I guess Fine and Peachy is about being a boss and trying to, just wanting people to like talk straight to you and deal directly and clearly and honestly with you, and wanting to do that with other people as well. The song existed in kind of an initial form for a couple of years before we recorded it finally. And along the way we'd done some tracking in studios, so it features my amazing drummer friend Glyn Daniels, and I think that's what gives it so much energy, really. It also features the amazing Michael Jablonka on guitar. Yeah, they're both incredible musicians, so it sounds sick in many ways thanks to them. So the video for Fine and Peachy almost didn't happen. We just couldn't settle on a location. We were trying to film it in the house, and it's not huge, so there weren't that many options where you could do this like big widescreen thing that I had in mind. And I think it was about 5 o'clock we finally decided, okay, let's try it here. And then it just all came together perfectly, and it was so fun to film. And I feel like it was just sort of playing out all these silly, fun, I don't know, I guess like movie moments where somebody is like transitioning into the person that they want to be, and I feel like I'm 100 different people all at the same time, and I feel like I come across quite differently depending on how my hair is or what outfit I'm wearing, and this felt like a chance to be like, you know what, in amongst, it doesn't matter all of this, like I'm an old lady, and also I'm a young girl, and also I am a boss, and also I am somebody who struggles with their hair, and yeah, it was just really fun to make. The Woman You Want is about trying to find the energy to get up and do the things that you want to do every day, and maybe not feeling like you can. There was sort of an intenseness to lockdown, which I think put a lot of people, myself included, in quite stark face-to-faceness with themselves, because there wasn't really anywhere to go and there weren't as many distractions as there normally are. So I found bits of it tough, like most people, I think. And this song was very much about not being able to be the person that I wanted to be through it all. I wanted to be carefree and super productive and not really be affected by it. And I felt like I was being so, and at times it felt kind of endless. And in the end, I guess it kind of moved in like waves, but in the kind of lower ebbs of the waves, this was pretty much how I was feeling. The song starts with like a clock ticking. I just felt sometimes that during 2020 you'd wake up and like feel like, okay, it's another day. And the kind of clock and it being 8 a.m. again was meant to sort of symbolise that, I guess, the kind of endless coming of days and not very much changing. Again, it's got this kind of high, quite frail, quite soft vocal that I think kind of showcases the vulnerability that the song encapsulates. And it feels quite strange to sing sometimes, and it's bloody high. So it's going to be an interesting one to do live, because a lot of the stuff I sing is kind of alto based, I guess. But I'm looking forward to it. Waiting Game. Waiting Game is the first song that I've ever released fully that I've co-written with somebody. I wrote it with an amazing person called Ben Christophers, and we wrote it at his studio. And it's one of the first sort of songwriting experiences where I've come away from it and I've really felt like the song is mine and represents me, even though it's been come to via a communal thing. It's very much about trying to figure out who I am, I guess, and trying to, again, become the person that I want to be. It has lyrics that especially sum me up, I think. Starts with, I'm a woman, golden brown, watch my hair unwind, careless colours pooling in your mind. And it's sort of this, I think I picture it as a kind of dream state, where you're not sure exactly what you're waiting for. Like, is it you? Is it someone else you're waiting for? Like, what is it that you need to fully realise the person that you want to be? It's kind of like the delight of waiting for yourself to be just completely happy as you are, or waiting for a person who's going to help enhance your life, or all those kind of feelings mixed up together. And this was quite a beast to make as well. I had a couple of versions from it from the writing session that we'd worked on. One was really stripped back and one was really beautifully produced, but really different to kind of the rest of the album and the stuff that I would have naturally done on my own with my guitar, I guess. So we kind of broke it back down to basics and re-recorded it, and then just experimented and had a lot of fun with it, and brought in this really beautiful sort of African guitar lick, and then these drums, and it kind of opens out and it expands, and then it shrinks and it expands, and it's a real idiosyncratic song. I think it takes its own little journey, and I feel like that's sort of what searching for identity is like. Like, you take a lot of corners, and it's still sort of open-ended, because what isn't in life? But I think it's quite a special song, and quite a different moment on the album, which is nice to have variety, isn't it? Tired of Trying is a strange mix of like new direction for me, but with kind of old direction. This song was written just on guitar with me singing, and I found myself exploring a different register of my voice, which is this really high, I think quite emotive space, but not the kind of usual emotive space that I am used to, which is really powerful, higher singing. This was like, I really wanted it to be quite frail. And when we started recording it, it felt really strange to add anything to it at all in terms of production. But I'm so glad we did, because the kind of result is like, it's got quite a folk feeling to it, because it came from, I mean, all the songs come from guitar and vocal, but this really came from a kind of introspective, quite folk-driven place. And then it's got these kind of strange things that creep into it. The electronic drums that I think just feel so mesmeric as they carry on and kind of open out throughout the song. And there's a strange instrument on there actually. It's like this little whirly stick. Ben had bought these and was so keen to use them on the record, and he's tried to put them in every song and I've not let him. But on this song, you can hear them. You can also hear Ben singing on this track, which was quite a hard ask. He didn't want to do it, but I'm glad I got him to do it. The whole time he was like, "You've got to get a professional singer in to do this. Is not my job. I'm just a producer." And yeah, I feel like it's brilliant that he's on the record as a singer, as well as a musician in so many different ways, because obviously our lives are completely intertwined, and this record has been just us two pretty much the whole way making it. And there's something special about somebody's voice, I think, so I think it's important that you hear his voice on the record as well.
Hi, I'm Ben Jackson, the producer of The Woman You Want by Eliza Shaddad, and also I am Mr. Shaddad.
Come back to me. Come back to your family. Yeah.
In the Morning is an old song. I've been playing it live for 2 or 3 years now, and it's probably the most well-received song of any of them. And I've thought about recording it for years, and actually over the last couple of years I've probably recorded it 10 times in 10 different ways, and never quite felt like we've gotten it right. We've tried big productions, completely bare vocals and guitars, and just gone round and round and round with it to the point that wanted to give up and just not put it on any records. But it's such an important song to me and has been such a kind of important part of my set for so many years, and of getting to know people. And yeah, I really wanted it on this record, and I'm so glad and relieved that I finally found a version that I'm really happy with. It features guitar, vocals, some piano played by Ben Jackson, and also strings. And what we did is we used some strings from an earlier version that were recorded by Carmen Fellan and arranged by Adam Morley. We brought those in and messed around a lot with them, and they sounded absolutely incredible, the kind of lines that they'd written and the vibe. I think it had all been put through an amp, and it had this really haunting quality to it. But we needed some more lead lines to go over the top, so I contacted a friend of mine, a violinist called Violetta Vici, and she recorded some stuff and sent it over to us, and it just absolutely makes it really soar, and kind of brings out, I think, some more of the heartbreakingness of the theme and of the song without making it too hard to listen to, because every time we recorded it, just vocals and guitar, I mean, it, in the same way I think that it does when it's live, like it grabs you, but if you're just at home listening on your stereo to it, it's really so intense. And I think that the combination of strings, a tiny bit of piano, and the guitar and the vocals works to kind of soften it a little bit. The song's about my grandmothers. One of them had dementia for many years before she passed away. And the other one was in and out of hospital quite a lot before she passed away. And they were both towering women, and just were really, I guess, people to respect, and they're kind of matriarchs of their families. And yeah, I miss them a lot, and every time I sing this song, I think about them. It has at long last made it onto a record, which I'm stoked about. Now You're Alone is, I guess, one of the most bestial tracks on the album. It starts kind of intimate and small, and I think that's lulling you into a false sense of security because it's so massive by the end. I really love the kind of, I don't know, kind of Portisheady strings that come in, and I just wanted it to be really grand and massive, and I wanted it to be a huge song to sing. It's going to be, I think, one of my absolute favourites to sing live. I like how kind of quickly it moves. I think it's got a lot more chord changes in it than a lot of the stuff I write, and it feels like interesting to play. It's written about actually a really specific situation where I guess I was really keen to be alone, but I was aware how my needing to be alone was affecting the people around me. And I wrote it in 2020, so I'm sure all of us can relate to being alone. I'm a weird mixture of like introvert and extrovert, I think. So I guess this song is kind of trying to figure out, do I want to be alone? Do I want to be with other people? And trying to apologise, I guess, for the effect that that wanting to be alone can have on other people. And Now You're Alone was an absolute beast to record the vocals for as well. It's a real taxing song to sing, and for some reason I didn't think to like lower the key or make it simpler, and we just went with it. And yeah, I feel like it's one of my best vocal deliveries that I've ever done. So yeah, I'm proud of it. Finally, there is Blossom, and this is one of my little favourites, I think. It's quite a kind of soft, sweet song, and it's about opening up and feeling open to the world again after a period of not being able to communicate, I guess, in the way that you want to. And for the production, we wanted to add in a lot of different elements to kind of take it on a journey somewhere else. And I've been listening to quite a lot of Sudanese music, and I've always really wanted to find ways to incorporate that into the stuff that I'm writing. One thing that I really wanted to incorporate into it was this kind of synth string sound that you hear on a lot of recordings and you hear live a lot, kind of in wedding bands and that sort of thing. And every time I hear it, it's often the intro to a song, and then it'll get going and everybody's dancing, and it's a really beautiful sound to me. And so we did some kind of searching for the right kind of sound and tried to emulate it. And then there's a little call in the background again, because the whole song is sort of a celebration of things coming back to life. And in Sudan, when you're celebrating something, especially a marriage, then women make this noise which sounds like this. And that might be too loud. Might have broken the microphone. That is in the bridge there. For a lot of the lyrics on the album, as 2020 was progressing, I felt like I wanted to change them, and I wanted them to be more relevant to who I was today for a couple of the songs that were older. And this was one where I really wanted to incorporate the kind of changes that had happened in Sudan, and I kept feeling like blossom and spring, and it's all tied in. I was thinking about Arab Spring, and I was thinking about all these amazing changes that were happening. And I just wanted to tie them all in together, basically. The video for Blossom was trying to encapsulate this kind of feeling of opening up and relaxing and connecting with nature, I guess. And in 2020, I went through a plant phase, which I'm happy to say has given me slightly green fingers, and I can now keep plants alive. Exhibit A. And I just wanted to fill the house with plants, basically. And I pretty much did. And so for the video, we tried to capture that, and it's sort of, the video is sort of about my loving relationship with plants and opening up to them and sort of seeking enjoyment and love in life through connecting with nature.
And as my heart begins to swell, I think it must be spring.
I think we're both really proud of it now. And I was saying, we were listening back to the album, probably first time we listened back to it all, and I turned to Eliza and said, it's funny how you can be working on something and in your head be saying, this is hell, this is the last time I do it. And then when you when you get to as soon as you finished it and you listen back to it, you can just be like, right, let's make another one.